Let's be honest, most people do not fail because they're not smart or because they lack opportunity. They fail because they keep repeating the same mistakes that hinder their lives or keep repeating those same habits that guarantee poverty. But what if you could look at those habits and flip them and turn them into wealth building principles in your life? The truth is, you can. Charlie Munger once said, "Tell me exactly where I'm going to die, so I actually never go to that location." And that's kind of the essence of what I want to share with you today, because I wanted to share with you how to avoid staying poor by understanding exactly what keeps you poor and then changing those behaviors. I'm Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations. I built teams, businesses, mentored team members, and built systems that turns chaos into structure and growth. No motivational video will actually give to you. And that's brutally honest advice that actually works for you. All right, so the first thing on the list is the power of inversion thinking. Inversion thinking is one of the most powerful models that you can adopt as someone who's trying to make that conversion out of poverty, out of just a vicious cycle of not winning, to overcoming, prospering, and ultimately achieving your goals. Instead of asking, how can I get rich? Ask this question: what would guarantee me staying poor? So many people don't think like that. They just want to think, okay, man, that person's rich and I want a life like that. How do I do that? But in actuality, the most important question that you should be asking yourself is, what am I currently doing that's guaranteeing that I stay in this situation that I don't want to be in life? Success so often is not about doing way more. Well, it's partially about doing more, but it's more about avoiding what destroys progress in your life. And so many times that seems to be a foreign concept to people that well, I have to do more, do. No, you have to do more of the right stuff and do it consistently for a long time without fail and without anybody telling you you've done a great job or you're making great progress or giving you a gold star, because that won't move the needle. And most of the time, when you actually need somebody to say, hey, you're actually making great progress, great job, keep at it, that person is absent. Those people come along once you start shining a little bit, once you've hit some success, once you're actually moving the needle. People are like, oh my gosh, you're so great. You know how to do such cool stuff. Wow, that's amazing. You turned everything around. How did you do that? And you're like, where were you when I actually needed you? While I was working through the mud and the grit and the grind of actually getting where I am today. So right now I'm going to give you 10 common ways that people actually stay poor. And the inversion of these is what you can implement into your life to actually make progress. So I'm going to take you through some of the biggest traps right now that keep people broke mentally and financially. Number one, procrastination. You'll say, I'll start tomorrow. You'll say, someday I'm going to do that thing. You'll say, someday I'm going to get that certification. Maybe one day I'll start doing better with my budget. Maybe I'll pay off my car. Maybe I'll pay off my credit card at some point in time when I make more money. That's a big mistake. Stop procrastinating. Start today. If you wait till you get that big pay raise to pay off your debt, you never will. If you don't build the systems in your life now to be able to strengthen that muscle of paying off and building wealth, you will never actually build. So start today. Number two, this is a massive one. Consuming all this content, which is incredible in this day and age. We have so much content available at our fingertips. Within a millisecond, you can get an inflow of how productive people live, how rich people live, how to do this or that so that you become rich. And yet we don't do anything with that knowledge. Consumption without application is one of the biggest rules. Invert that and start. When you read a book, apply the material. When you listen to a podcast, apply it today. If you take a course or if you learn something from someone, make the immediate application required to make progress in your life. So many people are constantly consuming and making little ditties and comments on YouTube videos like the gremlins of YouTube, but they're never actually executing. Execute what you learn. Knowing without action is simply mental entertainment. In fact, Albert Einstein said, a person who knows but does not actually do does not truly know. Third thing, and this is something that we've all been partakers of, and me too, in previous life. Take advice from poor people. Take advice from people who are broke. Uncle Larry has been living on welfare and food stamps for the past 25 years, and he's got some great advice on investing in real estate. You take advice from people like that, you're going to guarantee that you stay broke. Want to get rich? Don't ask your great Uncle Larry about his career advice and investments. Follow people who've done what you want to do and have something to show for it. Don't take advice from broke people. So what's the inversion of that idea? Take advice from people who actually have done something and achieved something that you want to be a reality in your life. Avoiding discomfort at all costs. Now, at this day and age in America, like, we avoid discomfort because Americans, we want to be comfortable. And I'm one of them. I love to be comfortable. I love to have nice things and just to have a nice environment and to go somewhere really nice and fancy. But growth only happens when things in life are uncomfortable. And I go to the gym 3 times a week. I work out 6 hours per week. The only way my muscles grow is if I lift heavier weight that's more uncomfortable and make them sore so that they heal, so that they increase. By the way, I have to take the proteins, the vitamins, and minerals so all those things work. But aside from that, the only way I grow is when I get uncomfortable. The only way I'm going to move to that next weight class is when I get uncomfortable. More than that, growth happens when you risk failing and looking stupid. That's an even further one. That goes to our psychology of living, even. That I am so afraid of avoiding discomfort or making a change in my life and becoming uncomfortable and risking failing, because if I was uncomfortable and I failed, oh my gosh, how dumb would I look? But the truth is, discomfort is going to give you feedback that over time gives you data that you can analyze, make changes, and then reintroduce other actions that are more profitable from that activity. And so don't avoid discomfort. The principle is welcome discomfort and pursue those avenues of discomfort in those areas of your life that you want to make progress. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have to cut the carbs. That's going to be painful. Just accept it and then go through that process of growth. This one, lots of people have it, super obvious. Spend more money than you earn. Credit card companies, they have a plan. They know eventually all of us have the tendency, and I don't know if it's just because we're Americans, just because we have psychological challenges with the comfort element of our lives, or we just failed to plan or failed to realize that one day there's going to be a rainy day. Like grandma and grandpas, they said, have a rainy day fund because one day there's going to be a rainy day and you need to have a rainy day fund. So if you don't have a rainy day fund, you're going to have to get it from a credit card company. Listen, don't spend more than you earn. Lifestyle inflation is a silent killer of wealth. You can't invest in your future if you're busy financing your ego. If that's all you're doing all day long, every week, every month, month after month, believe me, you're going to get into deficit. And that deficit is really hard to overcome. You're digging a hole deeper than you ever want to have to fill and then build on top of. So instead of building wealth, we're digging into the ground, into a hole that we're actually going to have to refill and then start building on top of. Don't do that. Don't spend more than you earn. Get on a budget, get on a plan, and start building that muscle. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, do it now, because the only way to be able to manage more wealth is to be able to manage the wealth that you have very effectively. Number 6, waiting for perfect conditions. I heard a great general say one time, when I'm making decisions, I work really hard to get 70 to 80% of the information I need to make the decision. And then I make that 30 to 20% up with my experience. And then I make that 30 to 20% up with my experience that I've had for many years of leading. And at first, you're not going to have a lot of experience if you're just getting into leading, if you're just trying to make better decisions. But the perfect moment, the perfect plan, 100% of the information you need is not a reality. It's never a reality for anyone. In fact, the longer you lead, the more situations that you get into, the longer you build wealth and build winning into your life, the more situations that you get into where you will not, I guarantee you, have all the information that you feel you need to make the decision. But you have to proceed anyways, through the discomfort, with the feedback loop. Try, fail, get the information, try again, maybe fail a little bit less, and keep going until we actually start to make progress. And that's just a simple feedback loop, but you go again and again and again, and you just don't quit, and you don't wait for the perfect conditions, because they're never going to come. You start messy and you get clarity along the way. You don't know everything you need to know to get to the place you want to be in life. If you did, you would already be there. So you've got to start the process of trying, failing, going, reiterating, trying, failing, getting the data, revising, going, trying again, and keeping that process going so that you can actually win. So it's number 7, and we do this at the stoplight all the time. Prioritize appearance over value. You want to look rich. Looking rich is not the same as being rich. That person has a really nice Jeep over there. They're driving that Gladiator around, or they got that Camaro or that Corvette, or heck, maybe they even got a Ferrari that they rented for the weekend because they actually don't have the money to buy it. But real wealth doesn't scream, it whispers. And this is a concept that's foreign to so many people, and it's foreign to us in America so many ways because we have, I mean, you drive around and you see all these fancy cars. Like I drive down the road, I'm like, man, that is a freaking amazing truck. And while I try to keep in the back of my mind, like, there's a lot of people in this world, they have a lot of great wealth, and he probably worked really hard over a really long time, budgeted, disciplined in his life, and blah 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 blah, and was able to buy that big, really cool, $150,000 truck, and it's freaking awesome. 8 out of 10 is normal, but then 9 out of 10 of the super rich, really cool looking neighborhoods where they're looking good, but they're broke as heck. And they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they don't even know if they're actually positive at the end of every year because they simply don't have a budget, they don't have a plan, they just made more money and started spending more money, and they started looking more shiny and more rich, and they still don't know why. There's so much stress and anxiety in their life about making the payments each month. Like, man, we get all this cash in, and by the end of the month, it's all gone. And how many times I've heard a wealthy person say that? I don't think there's an end. I don't think there's an actually end to people who make a lot of money who actually say that. Not wealthy people. They're not actually wealthy. They have high incomes. They're just broke. And there's a lot of people that fall into this category. So real wealth whispers. Think of it that way. It doesn't scream, I'm wealthy. It says, I understood what it takes to be wealthy. I've gone on that journey to achieve that goal, and I just won't quit till I get there. And by the way, I don't care what you all think because I know where I'm going. Number 8, give up after one failure. I got uncomfortable. I tried, and I failed. Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because the ride's going to be a bumpy one, and it's going to be long. Failure is part of the process. Whenever a scientist does a study, they don't say, well, we just failed. No, they say, well, we found another way that proved another methodology that just doesn't work. And so we keep going until we find one that works. Quitting is what makes failure permanent. In investing, when you have a fund and you keep putting money in over many, many years and it dips and goes down, and you're like, oh my gosh, it looks like we're losing a ton of money. The only way to secure your loss is to jump out. It was going like this. The fund went down like that, and you get scared and you jump off. And you just concreted in all those losses. But if you wait 6, 10 more months, you'll see it go back up and go higher than it was previously. Don't give up after a single failure. Stay in the game. Failure is part of the process. You're going to try, you're going to fail. That failure is going to produce data. The data you will use to revise all of the system and then to relaunch into the space. Retry the thing and to try yet again. When you make your first monthly budget, you really suck at budgeting because you've never budgeted. You don't know how. But after you've done it for 4, 6 months, you get really good at it because now you have data that proves, like, you make your budget and you're like, okay, this is how I live. And then a month goes by and you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I was so off with all of my estimations, like what I actually thought I spent money on. And so then you have to revise it, and then you get a little better. And the next month you're still off, and the next month you're still off because you didn't plan for that quarterly freaking expense that you didn't realize that comes out every quarter, and it's not monthly, and it's just kind of weird. And so after you get into this, about 4 to 6 months, you start making progress. And then you can actually see and feel momentum moving forwards in life because you grew yourself in an area that builds wealth. You have to value not giving up even when you hit those failures, because that's just a feedback loop that tells you a data set that helps you understand what you need to do in the future. Number 9 is this: ignore your priorities. Many people stay busy, but not productive. Being occupied does not mean moving forwards. Having a lot of stuff to do doesn't mean making progress. If you do tons of stuff and you make a big income, but you never budget your money, you will never grow wealth. It will disappear. And if you do grow any level of wealth, just because you can out earn some of your stupidity, then you won't grow the volume of wealth that you could have if you would have lived on a plan, if you would have actually grown the skill of management. Don't just be occupied, because just being occupied, just making your time occupied, doesn't mean you're moving forward in life. All right, so the 10th and final one that I want to share with you is avoiding responsibility. Now, this comes in different forms, and I want you to just hear me out. Blaming others, blaming your boss, okay, the government, blaming your parents. These mindsets are what keep you powerless. When you blame someone else for your failure, you give them power over your life and concrete in that failure. And that is your responsibility and mine. This mindset makes you powerless. The moment that you take full responsibility for all the results in your life, you become unstoppable. And that's what so many people don't realize about avoiding responsibility. It's not just about not taking on that task at work. It's also about saying, you know what? I was mistreated when I was a child, or these things happened to me when I was in school, or this teacher was really ugly to me and talked down to me and just really berated me, and therefore I can't succeed. It's about taking all of that and saying, I don't give them power. I will succeed in spite of all of the history that I have in my life, and I will overcome and cause these things in my life to be a reality, not the broke people things, but the things that actually launch and move life forwards. Because too many people think that avoiding responsibility is just not taking on that extra task or budgeting. But it's also about not giving that person in your life who said you weren't enough, not giving that person in your life power who said you couldn't do something, or you weren't smart enough, or people in our family, or people like us, we can't become a lawyer or doctor or a business person. We don't prosper. Like, that level of taking responsibility goes deep. It cuts to the heart. And that's the one that you have to deal with more than the one that's just not like, oh, I'm not taking that task, or I'm not dealing with that thing or that budget. No, deal with the inner man that says, I can't win because of X, because that's the one that truly keeps you and me from being able to prosper. And I've had to deal with it in my life, and you've got to deal with it in your way, in your life. But avoiding responsibility goes far deeper than just taking on projects and tasks and responsibilities, maybe at work or in life in general. Go deep. Identify who it was in your life that said you can't, and invert that into a I can and I freaking will. Now, let's invert this completely. Here's how you actually escape poverty, mentally and financially. We had the 10 rules. Here's the inversion. Number 1, I'm going to move through this quick, so take notes. Number 1, start now. Take imperfect action. Learn by doing. Number 2, apply what you learn. Knowledge compounds through execution. Again, application. Okay, number 3, choose your mentors wisely. Don't just listen to anyone. Follow proven track records from people that actually win in areas that matter to you. Number 4, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where all the growth happens. It doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in uncomfort. Number 5, live below your means. Save, invest, and reinvest. Freedom starts with discipline. And 6, embrace failure. Every mistake carries a lesson. It gives you a data set. Extract that and move forwards. And then 7, build real value in your life. Focus on solving problems that matter, not on looking impressive. That kills wealth. And then 8, be freaking consistent. Most people fail because they stop halfway. They don't keep showing up. But you keep showing up. 9, take responsibility. You are the CEO of your life. And 10, invest in yourself. Create skills, health, mindset. They're an asset that never lose value, and you never give power to others when you start investing in yourself and you invert that, not taking responsibility, into I will invest and grow because I can. Removing those voices in your head and in your life that said you can't, or that tore you down, or that weigh you down in your life, throwing those off, deciding you will take full responsibility for all the results of your future and prosper. Wealth is not just about the money. It's about your character. If you build strong character and invest over many years, money will eventually chase you. You won't be chasing that money. When you become a person who delivers value, keeps promises, learns fast, applies what they learn, treats people well, you build a brand. And that personal brand becomes your leverage for all of life. It opens doors, it builds trust, and compounds over time, just like interest. Avoiding poverty isn't just about dodging mistakes. It's about creating a foundation of wealth that you can actually sit on. So here's the honest truth that I would tell my younger and poorer self. Stop chasing hacks. Stop waiting for luck. Stop blaming everything and everyone around you or in your past. Start building yourself. Build your habits, build your mindset, maintain your discipline, be consistent, get the data sets, and reinvest. The money will follow. If you found this video valuable, or if you know somebody new who needs to hear this message, please copy that link and share it with them. Like the video, please, and subscribe to the channel because I post videos every single week about business, money, finance, and building a winning life. Without the fluff, without the fake motivation, just real tested principles that actually changes your life. It's how I changed mine and many other people's lives in my own life, because the best way to build your future is to build it.